Hello, my name is Keisha. Thank you for joining me today. This is Unspoken History. Today we're going to be talking about the historically black universities and colleges that existed in the United States before 1890, or let's say before the 1900s. Most of them are listed as being founded, not built, founded between the 1830s and the 1890s. Most of them from the 1860s and 1890s. There was only a couple that were built in the 1830s. So that's a 30-year period. A 30-year period, 100 schools were built for black people before slavery ended. And then immediately after, which is when we still didn't have any rights as Negroes. There were still no rights for Negroes after 1865 and 18, so Negro descendants of slaves I'm talking about. So where all these black universities and colleges come from? And what were they needed for during the years of slavery, if it is true that all blacks were in slavery and all whites were the slaveholders? Why would we have more colleges for black people than for white people? So anyway, let's look down here at this list. This list is large. So we have Alabama A&M, founded in 1875. Alabama State University, founded in 1867. I'm going to skip those 1900 ones and just stick to the 1800 ones. Alcorn State University, 1871. Allen University, 1870. University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, 1873. Arkansas Baptist College, 1884. Barbara Scotia College, 1867. Benedict College, 1870. Benedict College again, two different cities, 1873. Bluefield State University, 1895. Bowie State University, 1865. Central State University, 1887. Cheyney University of Pennsylvania, 1837. Claflin University, 1869. Clark Atlanta University, 1865. Clinton, 1894. Um, Delaware, 1891. Dillard University, 1869. University of District of Columbia, 1851. Edward Waters University, 1866. Elizabeth City State University, 1891. Fayette State University, 1867. Fisk University, 1866. Florida A&M, 1887. Florida Memorial, 1879. Fort Valley State, 1895. Hampton, 1868. Harris Stowe State, 1857. Howard, 1867. Houston Tillotson, 1875. The list goes on and on. Jackson State, 1877. Johnson C. University, 1867. Now I'm wondering, because I love to read history, and what is available to me readily is that there were no blacks being educated. They just got out of slavery. Where they get money from? So these colleges were free. No, I wasn't told about all of these colleges. I knew about HBCUs, but those were like, I thought they were created after slavery. All of them. So anyway, I'm just looking at these 18s. America was in financial trouble right after the Civil War, 1865. So they started building black universities in the 1860s or 1830s. With what money? Who was providing the money? And these people are on the street now. If they didn't go back and work as a sharecropper or ended up in some uh, oil mine or coal mine or railroad, whatever, some other form of slavery. Why are all these colleges here? There's more, 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 more. Morgan State, Morris Brown, North Carolina Agricultural Technical State University, Oakwood University. That's a Seventh Day Adventist Church University. Um, just so many. Look, just more and more and more and more. I'm not going to name all 100. And then we move down here. These are the defunct institutions, the ones that no longer exist. But then we still see founded 1881, 1887, 1890, 1880, 1889, 1891, 1894, 1899. Really? 1884. Wasn't we under Jim Crow? The Black Codes? So, anyway, let's look at some of these real quick. And then we're going to look at the other colleges, the colleges for everybody that wasn't black. There was only about 25. Why we need over 100? Now, if I include both lists, there is 100 at the top. These right here, I think 101, and down here there's another 40. That's over 140 black colleges in the United States before 1890. I don't know if you don't find that strange, but I find that quite strange. Seeing that all black people were in slavery and all white people were on top. Okay, so let me look at HBCU images. Nah. Okay. All right, so let's look at them. The first HBCU established. When was this established? Let's see. It's not telling me. Okay, so we know that they were all built in like the 1860s, 1870, 1890. Okay, so who built that? You see how expensive it would be to build that? And they have over 140 of these universities all over the United States. Who built those? You mean somebody? Okay. Anyway, I'm thinking about the bricks that would be required to build that we couldn't do in 1830 or 1860 even. Okay, here's one. This one is, why are you not telling me which one it is? I think this one is. Let's see if the picture tells. I think that was it. It does not. However, you see all these brown folks? Look how they dress. So you know this was 1800s, early 1900s, between there, because of the way they're dressed. And so this is a whole campus, just one campus. Now, do you think those other campuses didn't have black people in them? Why did they even exist if they didn't have people in them? People were in them. Black people were in them. Somehow. Got out of slavery and they were all in colleges. I'm not saying that they couldn't go to college. I'm just saying, compared to the narrative that I was taught, they couldn't go to college. You got to finish high school first. You got to know how to read and write and count and all that stuff before you go to college. And the first university was 1837. Cheyenne University or Cheyenne University. Let me see. Cheyenne University. Okay, so anyway, let's look at it real quick. Wow. And this baby was built, founded, who knows when it was built? 1830 something. 1837, I think. Sorry. Look at that. Now, that looked like somebody went down to the river, collected a bunch of rocks, and built this building with it. That's what it looked like to me. Because I've had some rocks like that before when my husband and children went down to the river. Let me make this bigger and make sure I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, they look like different color I mean, different size river rocks. Anyway, I think this university was built. I'm looking in this book now. Black First: 2,000 Years of Extraordinary Achievements by Jesse Carney Smith. Um, I think it was 1837. It was 1830. Uh, that's Oberlin. So apparently, before Chenet University there, 1833, the first college in the United States founded with a mission to educate blacks was Oberlin College, Ohio. One of the elements creating the institution was Lane Seminary in Cincinnati, Ohio. So this college is founded in 1833. The Chenet State College, which is this one right here, was founded in 1839. I thought everybody was in slavery in 1839. Excuse me. I'm just saying. Till I started hearing those black people say our ancestors were never in slavery. I was like, how is that possible? How's that even true? Yeah, right. You don't know what you're talking about. Yes, they did. Never tell anybody they don't know what they're talking about if they got oral information passed down from their parents and grandparents and whatnot. That information is true, not what someone else told us in school. Like, we're not going to even ask the people who they are. Just go let somebody else tell us. But anyway, let's look at Oberlin. I wonder if Oberlin still exists. I wonder if it's one of the list of colleges that I had on there. I don't remember. Oberlin. Is it Oberlin College or Oberlin University? Oberlin College. Okay. I just want to see what it looks like real quick. Real quick. Wow. 1833. Sorry about that. I forgot to put my phone on silent. Okay. So that's a very interesting looking building. I didn't say they were built in 1833. It said it was founded. There's a difference between building and founding. So when they say they founded Yale, we'll get to that later, and Harvard in the 1600s, they didn't make all those bricks. I mean, that's my personal opinion. I don't know. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. But according to their history, they didn't start making bricks until the 1700s. Or some websites say the 1800s. Okay. So I'm going to read from my book here. Um, about some of these universities. So there's a section in here called Education. First Black holders of doctorates of education and ED.D degrees. Excuse me. It says so these are the 1950s. I'm skipping that. Okay, first Black holders of doctorates in physical science was 1916. St. Elmo Brady, University of Illinois, Urbana, Illinois, chemistry. 1925, Albert Cox, Cornell University, Ithaca, New York, mathematics. 1942, I think that's Margarita or Marguerite Thomas Williams, Catholic University of America, Washington, D.C., first woman in the field of geology. Okay, so college faculty. Charles Lewis Reason. It looks like reason. The reason. Okay, I'm sorry, I can't sing. In 1849, the first black faculty member on a white college campus was at Central College, McGrawville, New York. Charles Lewis Reason, 1818 to 1893, reformer and writer, was named professor of mathematics. Bells Latrice and French and French in October 1849. In 1852, he became principal of the Institute for Colored Youth in Philadelphia. Okay, so he became the principal of the Institute for Colored Youth in Philadelphia in 1852. What was supposed to be going on in 1852? Slavery, where blacks were in slavery and whites were the slave holders or owners. However, here we have a black man who apparently had finished several years of college prior to 1852, who becomes the principal of a school that must have been established before 1852, of an institute for colored youth. So colored youth were going to school in 1852. What colored youth? Because Virginia passed a law. If you watch my videos from birthright slavery to birthright citizenship, Virginia passed a law to make all Negro women's children slaves if their mother was slaves. So here we have a whole college full of youth. I'm just saying we need to get to the true understanding of our American story. So there's that guy, 1849, and then in 1870, the first black teacher to be engaged by the Freedmen's Aid Society to teach in Claflin College, South Carolina, was William Henry Grogman from 1841. He must have died in 1931. A scholar and writer, he was president of Clark College in Atlanta, Georgia from 1903 to 1910. I just find it interesting. What else in here? Okay. The first college in the United States was Oberlin. The second college was Chenault. And I'm not going to say this is the third college, but the next one they got listed in this book is Lincoln University in 1854, and Wilberforce University, Ohio, are the oldest historically black colleges established in America, unlike Chenault and apparently Oberlin, which had its origins in 1832. So Chenault State, which had its origins in 1832. These institutions were first to remain in their original location, indicated their aim to award baccalaureate degrees and develop fully into degree granting institutions. Lincoln University, the outgrowth, and the Osmond Institute was incorporated January 1st, 1854, and opened its doors to young black men on August 30th, 1856. I'm just saying. Berea College, 1858. These, I don't even remember some of these on the first list that I named. But anyway, Edward Waters College, Jacksonville, Florida, 1866. The first black college founded in Tennessee, 1867. On January 8th, 1867, Howard Theological Seminary changed its name to Howard University for those newly freed slaves that didn't have no money. I'm just saying. The first college founded as a land grant college for blacks was Alcorn Agricultural and Mechanical College, Lorman, Mississippi, 1871. Alabama State University, founded at Salem, 1874. The first regular school for blacks in North Carolina was Fayette State, 1877. Until 1960, the only major was education. Okay. In 1881, Spelman College. Okay, and then we're moving into the 1900s, which I'm not going to list. I'm sticking with the 1800s. Okay. Uh, First black holders of doctorate in professional and vocational fields. John Wesley. John Wesley E. Bowen Sr., 1887. 1915, Julian Lewis. Okay, and then it moves into the 1900s. Um, the University of South Carolina was the first to open to all races on March 3rd, 1868. Wow, really? Because you know, South Carolina was a whole bunch of black slave owners. They needed to go to college after slavery, because they couldn't hold slaves no more. All right. It says the integrated student body seemed to have ended with Wade Hampton's redemption of the state in 1876. There was a long series of disturbances between July 8th and October 26th, 1876. Okay, so anyway, we knew a lot of stuff started happening, right? Like fights between blacks and whites because us lower class people, we don't realize what's going on with the elites. So we down here causing trouble because we don't know that that's the way it's always been. All right. So what else they got in here? Honorary degrees. Lemuel Hayes, born 1753, must have died in 1833, was the first black to receive an honorary degree in the United States. Middlebury College, Vermont, at its second commencement in 1804, awarded Haynes a MA, a master's. See also religion and congregation. So he got a master's, probably in some religious study or something. All right, 1896, an educator, school founder, and race leader, Booker T. Washington was the first black recipient of an honorary degree from Harvard University. Okay, law schools. In October 1886, John Mercer Langston founded and organized the law department at Howard University, the first in a black school. He headed the department when classes formally began on January 6, 1869, and was his dean from 1870 to 1873. Mm, mm. From 1873 to 1875, he was vice president and acting president of the university. In 1868, at Howard University. Mm, mm, mm. All right. This is under the section called Schools. 1750, Anthony Benazet led the Philadelphia Quakers in opening the first free school for blacks in 1750. Wow. 1787, an African free school was the first free secular school in New York City. Mm, mm. This was well into slavery. But I guess you say this is in the North, and they could go to school in the North. Okay. All right. Benjamin Roberts filed the first petition to abolish segregation. Okay, nah, I don't want to read that. Okay, I'm still in the section called Education. Josephine Sloan Yates was a teacher and journalist in 1879. What you got? 1870, Snowden School, Virginia was the first state school for blacks. 1870. Fannie Jackson became the first black woman to head a major educational institution for blacks. In 1869, a black woman. 1865, Francis Lewis Cardoza was the first black principal of Avery Normal Institute in Charleston, South Carolina. 1863, Sarah J. Smith, excuse me, she was Sarah J. Smith Thompson Garrett, was the first black woman to be appointed principal in the New York City public school system. Mm, mm, mm. Black women in the 1800s making an impact on the world, but it got covered up. We got to hear about it. Okay, so let's see if I want to read anymore. 1908, Virginia Estelle Randolph was the first black jeans Jeans teacher. Anna T. Jeans, a Philadelphia Quaker, provided $1 million to initiate a fund for teachers who work with other teachers to encourage improvements in small black rural schools. Well, thank you, Miss Quaker Lady. Okay, so what else did I have to read in this book? And then we're gonna move on to the schools that were built or established for people that were not Negroes or blacks or Africans or whatever you want to call them. Medical agencies and schools. 1876. Meharry Medical College was the first medical school founded for the sole education of blacks. 1876. Mm, mm, mm. Okay, medicine. 1667. Lucas Santome or Santome was the first trained black physician in New Amsterdam. 1706. Onesimus was the first black to introduce inoculation against smallpox in the American colonies. 1773. James Durham was the first regularly recognized black physician in the United States. 1837. James McCune Smith was the first black to obtain an MD degree. He studied at the African Free School in New York City. 1846. David Ruggles, hydro, hydropathist, journalist, abolitionist, and businessman. In 1846, erected the first building constructed for hydropathic treatments in the United States. 1847, David J. Peck was the first black to graduate from the American Medical School, Rush Medical College in Chicago. Mm, mm, mm. Hold on a second. My granddaughter came in, left the door open, and all I could hear was whatever she got going on. 1863, Alexander Thomas Augusta became the first black surgeon in the United States Army. 1863? Okay. Mm. Let's read that again. Alexander Thomas Augusta became the first black surgeon in the United States Army. A freeborn Virginian, Augusta served his medical apprenticeship in Philadelphia, graduated from Trinity Medical College in Toronto, Canada in 1856, and joined the Union forces in 1863 with the rank of major. In 1865, he became the first black to head any hospital in the United States when the newly created Freedmen's Bureau erected buildings on the grounds of Howard University and established the Freedmen's Hospital with Augusta in charge. We need a whole book about that, not just a section in a book. 1863, Rebecca Lee Crumbler was the first black woman awarded a medical degree. Well, I don't know. Would it there be some other doctors back there and other ones? I mean, well, I don't know. Anyway, females were accomplishing great things in the 1800s. Black females. She completed a 17-week course to earn an MD degree from the New England Female Medical College in Boston. Lee established a long-lived practice in Richmond, Virginia at the end of the Civil War. 1870, Susan McKinney. So I could have been showing y'all a picture of these people if they have one. Let's see. Susan McKinney. Let's see how she spelled that. MC. Let's see if this is her. That's her. Well, if that's the picture I see in this book, I can't say that's her. Susan McKinney. Susan Marie Smith McKinney. Stewart was the first black woman to graduate from a New York State medical school. After graduating from New York Medical College for Women, she practiced in Brooklyn for more than 20 years. In 1873, she became the first black woman doctor to be formally certified. Go, Miss McKinney Stewart. Okay, so the other one, what was the other? Let's see, I'm gonna stick with the. Okay, the other ladies was way back there. No, let's go to Rebecca J. Cole. Let's see if they have a picture of her. She was the first, excuse me, the first black woman to establish a medical practice in Pennsylvania. Rebecca J. Cole. Let's see your picture if they have one. Check out Rebecca J. Cole. Was the first black woman to establish a medical practice in Pennsylvania. Let me make that bigger. Cole, the first black graduate of the Female Medical College of Pennsylvania in 1867. Okay, so hold on. When did they say this other lady graduated? Because they'll mix you up with some stuff, I'm telling you. Hold on. Those were nurses. Where's this one? Oh, I should have took it out. I took my paper, my little thing out, my marker. Okay, so anyway, I want to say the other lady was the 1830s or something like that, and this is 1860 for Rebecca J. Cole. 1872, sorry. First woman to establish a medical practice in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania. The first black graduate of the Female Medical College of Pennsylvania. So maybe it was another college because there was 140 of them. Who else? There was Henry Fitzbutler, was the first black graduate of the medical school of the University of Michigan. Canadian-born doctor moved to Louisville, Kentucky, and became the first black to enter the profession in the state. He was devoted to the cause of black medical education, and in 1888, the Kentucky legislature granted him and his associates permission to establish a school of medicine, the Louisville National Medical College. The school closed in 1911. Mm, 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 mm. So, um, we saw Rebecca. Let's go at this is Daniel Hale Williams. He was the first, they're always saying the first, okay. The first successful heart operation on July 9th, 1893. We got to see his face, if it's real. If they got a real picture, is what I mean. Because they seem to be recycling these pictures. Daniel Hale Williams. Honoring Black History Month. Heart surgeon, pioneer. All right. It says Daniel Hale Williams performed the world's first successful heart operation on July 9th, 1893. The open heart surgery was executed at Providence Hospital in Chicago, Illinois, a hospital founded by Dr. Williams. He opened the chest of James Cornish, a laborer who had been stabbed, found the pericardial sac, emptied it of blood, wow, and successfully sutured it. Well, thank you, Dr. Daniel Hale Williams. Okay, so you see, there were many black achievements before we were told they were black achievements. Like, I just think people started doing stuff in the 1960s, right? No, 1860s, 1830s, 1660s, 1700s. Anyway, let's go to the schools that they have for the other people, other than black people. There was, I think it was 25. Here it is, right here. Okay, so these are one, three, six, nine of them right here. Harvard, Yale, Columbia, College of Mary, College of William and Mary, Princeton, Brown, St. John's, Washington and Lee, and Rutgers. Those must be their most important. Now I'm sure there's more. There's way more now. We're just talking about the ones that were here before now, like in the 1800s, 1700s, the 1600s. Harvard, 1636. College of William and Mary, 1693. St. John's College, 1696. Yale, 1701. Washington College, 1782. University of Pennsylvania, 1740. Moravian College and Moravian Theological Seminary, 1742. University of Delaware, 1743. Princeton, 1746. Washington and Lee, 1749. Columbia, 1754. Brown, 1764. Rutgers, 1766. Dartmouth, Dartmouth, or Moth, whatever, 1769. College of Charleston, 1770. Salem, 1772. Dickinson, 1773. Hamden, Hamden, Sydney, 1775. Transylvania, 1780. Okay, and there's those few. Now, why are there more colleges for black people than there are for white people in the United States? This is something that is just baffled me since I seen it. When there were black people didn't need no colleges, they were in slavery. But they needed a college. And also, I always talk about this. The founding year. It didn't say the year was built. Now, if you look up, you try to look up when it was built, it'll probably tell you sometime around here. But then, honestly, they couldn't manufacture mass amounts of brick to build something like that. Especially when they tell us they built things in 2 years. So everybody was working on this project. There wasn't nobody growing no cotton, no corn, no beans, or nothing. They were building these giant structures in America. I'm just saying. So anyway, let's look at how Harvard is. Um, Yale, I think, is more, is more extensive in the. See, look at the. I don't know if that's Harvard. Is that Harvard? Okay, so excuse me. 1636. Now I'm sure it's been fixed, and maintained, because if they wouldn't, it would be falling. If they hadn't, it would be falling apart. So of course they've maintained it, but let's see if there's the oldest photo of Harvard. Let's see. Sorry, I got to go through so much to get back. All right. Okay, so here are some older pictures or photographs, images of Harvard. This is, I think they called it Memory Hall or Memorial Hall. But anyway, if you check this out, this is not something that we can do today. We don't make buildings like this no more. We don't even make fences like this. Look at the things at the bottom. So anyway, this is a very intricate structure. The windows all the way to the roof. Just very, very, very intricate work done by some dumb slaves. So y'all say. And they say the slaves built it, the slaves built it. The slaves was growing cotton and corn and wheat and whatever else they were growing, beans. So anyway, I just wanted to look at those humongous buildings that were built in the 1600s when, according to, here, let's go to this site. So it says the first brick making industry in Cambridge, Massachusetts, 1840. That's 200 years later. All right. So anyway, let's look at Yale. Yale is very old and very big too. Trying to make it bigger. Did you let me? Mm. Well, that's an interesting top for a building. Okay, so looks kind of it's Islamic. I have a video where I talk about a lot of the Islamic architecture that's old world Islamic architecture that's around the United States. So this must be one of those structures that was a part of their architecture because the colonists didn't build this and neither did the slaves in 16 nothing, not while they were in slavery. So you pull them out of slavery, pull the skillsmen out of slavery to craft this. Somebody designed it and they did the work. Oh, all of the stories are just, they don't make sense now. But before I just believed it because what else? There was nothing else to believe. So anyway, Yale, Yale, Yale. Okay, so we saw the Harvard one. Um, let me see. I want to go to this list right here. Okay, so the let's see what Columbia looks like. Okay, so Cambridge, the brick making. You see, it says 1840 there, but over here it says the oldest brick house in this vicinity is not in Cambridge, unfortunately, but in Medford, the Turf House, built around 1676, sometimes called the Craddock House. But here in Cambridge, you have a Harvard, Massachusetts hall built in 1720, gutted 3 times by fire and still being used today, which is quite remarkable feat for a building. A lot of the buildings that we're using in the United States are just repurposed buildings. Those brick structures in every city that are considered historic buildings, they're very historic. Bricks are made from clay and shale, and according to the consistency of the shale or clay, the brick comes out yellow or shades thereof of red. Okay, so it says the first brick, as you saw it, were put in some sort of form, like a clay mold. Do they have a picture of it? Nah, they don't. Okay. Um, let's see, where was I? Clay mold. Oh, sorry, too far up. All right. So the first brick you saw there was put in some sort of form. The clay was put in by hand. Did you see all those bricks that it took to make it to build Yale and Harvard? And the mold they used only held about only at a time, I think it was 6 to 8 bricks that they were molding at a time by hand. And if you use sand, you had a sand truck brick. While we are on that subject, here's a good old NEPCO if later days, mass produced, and that sand struck brick in the handmade brick made in the water mold, you can readily see the water creases. Okay, so um, they're even admitting that they couldn't make the brick before then, but nobody's still saying who built these old structures. So anyway, okay, so let's look at Columbia University. Photos of old Columbia. So 1754, established in 1754. Doesn't say where it was built or when it was built. Okay, so originally it was King's College, founded in the province of New York by royal charter in the reign of George II. What does it say? Perpetuated Columbia College by the people of the state of New York when they became free and independent, maintained and cherished from generation to generation. for the advancement of the public good and the glory of Almighty God. The Library of Columbia University. Okay, so what is this? This right here. What is this thing? A little thing on your head, a little scepter. Anyway, okay, so that's Columbia University. I'm sure there are more pictures of grandiose scale. I don't want to see the same one. Okay, so there were some very very old buildings that they used for our universities in the United States. Okay, so anyway, Rutgers, Brown. I mean, they were all built before the 1800s, so all of them are going to have very. Let's look at Princeton. Very very old buildings. Very old. Very old buildings. And let's see, is this it right? Let's see if I can look at that one. They are making lots of noise out there. Wow, look at this grandiose structure. I know I'm using that word. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Nice big old castle that they turned into a university. It was somebody's castle. Mm, mm, mm. Wow. So anyway, maybe I'll do a video on the old structures. There's a lot of YouTubers out there already doing, and I mean a lot. So the proof is in the pudding, and the pudding is in. Look at that. Mm, mm, mm. Serious. Look at the top. This is an artist. This looks like an artist rendition. But anyway, shout out to the HBCUs and to all of the universities and colleges in America that's been around for hundreds of years. Anyway, everybody was being educated, blacks, whites, and everybody in between. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Leave me a comment, and have a good day.